Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here, and now this is my video submission to the Anarchapulco Scholarship Contest. What does the world's economy look like in 50 years if anarchism were 100% implemented? I'm going to be reading my full write-up, so I'll begin with this. Well, today we have a heavily regulated and manipulated system. We see the Hegelian Dialectic of problem, reaction, solution, and repeat in basically every realm of the markets and monetary system. Small businesses cannot compete because regulations that are put in place with a thin veil of actually stopping monopolies end up creating state-favored and subsidized monopolies. This leads to massive corporations, low wages, low employment, and stifles competition and innovation. Alongside the heavily manipulated markets is a heavily manipulated and artificial monetary system where currency, not money, is printed out of thin air, devaluing the dollar, creating debt and inflation as interest rates are played with. This will surely go the way of all other centrally planned economies. It'll end in bread and circuses while the masses drink out of gutters and bring in their wheelbarrows of paper currency through bread lines to be weighed by the pound for the allowed loaf of bread. Eventually, this currency will become wallpaper or garbage in the gutter. But of course, as anarcho-capitalists understand, this doesn't need to be the way. 50 years into an anarchist monetary system, you would see an abundance of creativity and competition, innovation and originality. You will see true demand based on the individual's will and lack of poverty due to a large volume of options in life. As many anarcho-capitalists and voluntarists believe, individuals should be able to opt out of society. If socialists want to run their own society elsewhere, under the private contract where people agree to opt in, it's their freedom to do so. However, 50 years into an anarchist monetary system, you would see few of these independent private contract powers left. One of the reasons for this is because they wouldn't have a large number of people to extort to extend their looming crash. They just wouldn't be able to survive without all-out theft of the masses. The other reason for this is because once good people give true and absolute freedom a chance, they would see that this isn't Somalia. This isn't chaotic. It's simply right, and all free individuals live in peace without aggression and strive for excellence with a little thing called responsibility. With the markets open to anything free of manipulation and unfair advantages at the hand of the state, brilliant new medical innovations would be seen on the regular, especially without big pharma standing in the way. New innovations that transform the way we live our lives would be a norm in this technological age. A massive variance of employment would be available to all sorts of people due to the wealth of competition and new forms of technology and medicine. Wages would likely be high depending on how good the business is. A business wouldn't have the crux of things like the minimum wage standing in their way of competition, bringing great riches to those who do well, allowing them to pay well. And let's also remember, the people are more likely in a free market to support those who treat their employees well, for they'd have far more options to choose from instead of the 2 or 3 giants propped up by the state's regulation and massive taxation. And that brings me to taxation. So many fear that without at least a little bit of taxation, there would be no way for people to flourish. Well, that simply isn't true. Taxation is theft, and a greater form of theft than many believe. It's armed extortion. There are a lot of good people out there. For starters, more people would have more money. A higher success rate means less sick people and less poverty, of course. People can start community pools where they put their money together and agree under the private contract that this money will be used for charitable reasons. But many will say, how will that cover such high medical costs? Well, first of all, due to medical innovation, people would be far more healthy as it is. And secondly, due to monopolies and inflation not being forced on the populace, medicine would be quite cheap and there would be a lot of it. Some may say, how would medicine be cheap? Well, apart from what I just mentioned, patent laws would be eradicated. Therefore, people can create different strains of the same medicine and compete in the market to sell it cheaper in order to gain the demand. When this happens, prices will drop, all while the people themselves statistically make more money. This is a beautiful thing, and it opens up doors for people to charitably fund hospitals, which would need far less money, and not a single stolen dollar would be necessary. Besides, the government may pretend all they want that they want to make lives better and help the poor, but they know damn well that their system is what makes these people poor. Consider the fact that throughout the world, governments have laws against feeding the homeless, or safe food handling laws that restrict individuals from giving the homeless food. And though there are quite a few lazy homeless out there, for the most part, we see such a high level of homelessness due to the state's monetary effect on both inflation and market instability. Now this leads me to currency. I say currency and not money because money must have a store of value and currency does not. First of all, there would not be one lone legal tender currency forced on the populace for globalist financiers to manipulate and devalue. There would be competing currencies. Everything from sound money like gold and silver to goats. And we simply cannot forget blockchain technology. Now before I go further into that, one must remember that while goats can be a form of trade, that doesn't mean they will be a regular form of trade. I can see how people can see that as highly unrealistic. Well, currencies and money have to meet demand too. Both parties have to accept the transaction and most are unlikely to accept goats. The currencies that meet the favor of most individuals would be the ones that heavily prevail in most places where transactions are done. I envision most establishments taking gold, silver, and blockchain for payment. You can trade your goat or a jug of water with someone who actually wants it. For the most part, people would be using non-centralized gold and silver and something so important to our futures, blockchain. Bitcoin is a great example of how to gain value and acquire necessities off the establishment's grid. We're talking about one of the greatest concepts in money since the populace first started using gold and silver thousands of years ago. This is why physically preserved value of gold and silver as well as the non-manipulated power of blockchain will most definitely be the future of a free monetary system. One can go on for days about the glory of true freedom, an economy free of nefarious globalist influencers attempting to enslave the people in debt. We will leave it at that for now though, but if you have any questions, ladies and gentlemen, please feel free to send it my way. I'm happy to answer them. I stand as an individual free of collectivist enslavement and I believe you should too. Government begets collectivism begets slavery, and it doesn't need to be this way. You can be free, so what are you waiting for? Thanks for watching, everybody. You can check the links in the description. Patreon, GoFundMe. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated. And of course, since this is an Anarchapulco themed video, you should also check the link in the description and in the comments below for the reference link to Anarchapulco to buy tickets, because you can save 10% on your tickets at Anarchapulco by typing in promo code WAM. That's WAM. So catch us later. We have much more coming at you. Stay tuned. This is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.